Discover the incredible moment a billionaire's heart was changed by a homeless girl teaching his. Jack Thompson stood in the midst of Manhattan's chaos, a towering figure lost in a sea of bustling bodies. As the icy wind bit through his tailored suit, he couldn't help but feel the weight of his own isolation pressing down on him. A message pinged on his sleek phone, another meeting, another desperate bid to outmaneuver his competitors. Was this all there was? A cycle of corporate battles that left his soul feeling hollow. The city was alive with ambition, and yet, Jack felt utterly alone, wrapped in a golden cage of success. He watched families pass by, laughter spilling from their lips, people embracing the messy joy of life. It made him ache. Out of habit, he reached for his wallet to donate to a nearby charity box, but paused. The perfume of expensive coffee filled his lungs, and a memory sparked his mother's voice, the way she used to say that money could never replace real connection. Suddenly, a commotion caught his attention. A group of children huddled near the park, their faces painted with fear. Jack followed their gaze and saw a scrawny boy jeering at one of them. Just then, a girl, no older than 12, jumped in front of her friend. "Leave him alone," she shouted, her voice steady. The bully hesitated, clearly taken aback by her defiance. Jack watched in disbelief as the girl, with a mop of tangled hair and dirt-streaked clothes, stood her ground like a lioness protecting her pride. Something inside him stirred, the intensity of her spirit tugged at his heart. Who was this girl with such fire? For weeks, he returned to the park, drawn to her tenacity. He learned her name was Mia, that she and her friends found solace in the little things, even as they navigated the shadows of homelessness. Mia spoke with unfettered honesty, sharing her dreams of education and her tender love for animals. Each encounter stripped away Jack's emotional barricades, planting seeds of vulnerability where he thought his heart had long since become impervious. Mia's resilience ignited a longing within him. For the first time in years, Jack felt the need to connect. But that connection came with a storm brewing in the back of his mind. His elite social circle frowned upon his interactions with the less fortunate, warning him of the repercussions. After all, success was best accompanied by distance from the hardships of life. Caught between two worlds, Jack wrestled with a choice that could unravel everything he built. In a moment of misplaced generosity, he offered Mia a scholarship through his foundation. Her expression soured. "You think I can be saved with money?" she snapped, eyes blazing. "I don't need pity." That simple truth hit him hard, the weight of his privilege crashing down upon him. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Their friendship blossomed, and Jack began confronting the ghosts of his past, the family he neglected, the relationships estranged by his unyielding ambition. He found himself staring at the vast city, realizing how much he'd sacrificed for material gain. Every moment spent with Mia reminded him how precious and fleeting life truly was, and how he longed for something real. Now, as pressure mounted from every corner of his world, Jack stood at a crossroads. Would he choose the shiny facade of his empire, or the messy, beautiful reality Mia offered? He took a deep breath, his heart pounding as the clamor of the city faded, leaving only the promise of a new beginning. Jack's mind raced as he wrestled with his heart's newfound desires. The skyline loomed above him, a cold reminder of the success he'd chased for so long. Yet now, it felt like a prison. He thought of Mia's fierce gaze, her passion, her refusal to accept charity dressed as pity. For the first time, he craved authenticity over appearances. The next morning, his usual routine felt wrong. The sound of the alarm buzzed, vibrating with urgency, yet the thrum of his corporate world felt distant. Instead, he felt a pull, the kind that urged him to step into the unknown. Today, he'd visit the park, not as a benefactor, but simply as a friend. As he strolled through the park, the spark of hope ignited within him again. He spotted Mia sitting cross-legged on the grass, surrounded by her friends, a small group that made the whimsy of childhood seem invincible under the weight of their circumstances. They were loud, laughing, shoving crumbs from their snacks to a scruffy dog at their feet. Jack approached, his heart swelling at the sight. "Can I join?" Mia glanced up, surprise flickering across her features before she grinned, "Sure, but you better know how to play rock paper scissors." With no hesitation, he slid down beside her. Laughter erupted around them as he fumbled through the rules, charades of hand gestures that felt foreign compared to boardroom negotiations. Yet, in that moment, Jack forgot his title, his money, and the burdens that came with them. After several rounds, Mia leaned in closer, playful mischief in her eyes. "You know, thinking you can just throw money at a problem doesn't work, right?" Jack met her gaze, sincerity in his tone. "Yeah, I learned that the hard way." Their eyes locked, a depth flashing between them, a shared understanding that went beyond words. It stirred something fundamental within Jack. He was no longer the billionaire scrabbling for power, he was simply Jack, a man recognizing the world through Mia's lens. When the sun began to dip low in the sky, casting golden hues, Mia broke through the moment. "You're not like the others. Why don't you just buy a nice yacht or something and sail away?" He chuckled softly, the laughter feeling almost out of place on his lips. "Because I don't think being on a yacht would make me happy. I think I'd get bored." "Then what would?" Her question hung in the air like a fragile thread ready to snap, but it felt significant enough to touch. Jack paused, words caught in his throat. What would make him happy? The answer began to take shape, brushing against his heart. "I think I'd like to help people in a different way. Not just throwing money but actually being involved." Mia's expression softened, and he could see the wheels turning in her mind. "Don't just help us, help out the whole city," she proposed, her voice growing more animated. "Imagine if we could do something great, change it all." Jack's heart raced at the thought, the thrill of possibility blossoming. Could he really step away from everything he knew? A new world unfurled in front of him, a world filled with purpose and connection, but the moment was fleeting as a chill swept through the air, reminding Jack of the frigid reality outside the warmth of their shared bubble. The pressure from his corporate world loomed even larger now, reality crashing down, the calls, the meetings, the expectations. He swallowed hard, torn between two futures. Every decision felt heavier now. As he faced the setting sun, casting long shadows across the park, he realized that he had only just begun to comprehend the extent of his transformation. "Let us start with just one idea, one project, and see where it takes us," he said, the conviction in his voice thickening. Mia lit up, her excitement palpable. "Okay, but promise me you won't run away when things get tough." Jack nodded, the gravity of her words settling deep. "No more running." But as they began sketching out plans for their future, Jack couldn't shake the gnawing anxiety within. One problem remained unsolved, a corporate rivalry that had been simmering in the background, a rival CEO who wouldn't take kindly to any fluctuation in the high-stakes game they played. What if his new chapter didn't go as planned? Before he could indulge too deeply in his worry, Mia poked him in the ribs, breaking his concentration. "Hey, focus. We got a city to change." The laughter rang out, igniting hope, but would it be enough to protect this burgeoning friendship, to shield their dreams from the storm brewing on his horizon? Jack took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenges to come. He realized the question wasn't if he could change the world with Mia, but rather if he could safeguard their vision against everything that threatened to tear them apart. And with that thought, he made a promise silently to himself, ready to fight for what truly mattered. Would he go all in, risking everything, or would he relinquish this opportunity for change? The next day dawned bright and promising, but Jack felt the weight of reality hanging over him. The city thrummed with its usual chaotic energy, yet all he could think about was Mia and their plans. After their carefree day at the park, he was determined to dive into the community initiatives they discussed, but he knew it wouldn't be easy. He arrived at his office, the glass and steel structure looming like a fortress. The atmosphere felt different, his colleagues chatted about stock prices and mergers, yet Jack found himself drifting. Each topic whirled around him like a distant hum. Deep down, he knew he had one foot in two very different worlds, the relentless pursuit of profit and a tangible thirst for connection with people like Mia. "Jack, are you with us?" Sam, his assistant, pulled him from his thoughts. She looked at him, brow furrowed. "You've got a meeting in 5. Right," he muttered, fumbling through his papers. The meeting wasn't typical for him, it was a crucial pitch to secure a major contract, one that could elevate his firm to new heights. But as he walked into the conference room, the faces around the table didn't inspire confidence. He felt like a shark in a placid pond. The meeting dragged on, filled with the usual jargon and aggressive projections, but Jack's mind slipped back to the park. He could almost hear Mia's laughter, see her fierce hope. The contrast between their worlds gnawed at him. Why was he sitting here, pretending to care about figures on a screen, when there were real lives to be changed? At last, the meeting ended. Jack stood up, his throat tight. "I'm sorry, everyone, but I need to step out." He sensed the confusion but didn't care. Steering himself toward the exit, he felt a rush of adrenaline. It was time to act on what truly mattered. He found Mia later that afternoon at a local community center that offered art classes for kids in need. The vibrant colors on the walls were animated, alive with laughter and creativity. Mia was deeply engrossed, guiding a group of children as they splashed paint on canvases. Joy radiated around her, and Jack felt drawn in. "Mia!" he called, and she turned, her face lighting up. "Jack! You came!" Her enthusiasm was infectious. The kids buzzed with energy, waving brushes around as they tried to get Jack involved. "Can I help?" Jack asked, unsure of how he'd fit into this scene. "Of course. Just follow my lead." With a quick laugh, Mia pulled him into the chaos. Jack grabbed a paintbrush, but his awkward strokes brought even more giggles from the kids. As their laughter filled the room, Jack felt the barriers inside him break down. They worked side by side, Mia demonstrating techniques, explaining concepts with kind enthusiasm. Each small triumph, each smile from the children sparked a warmth in Jack's chest. For the first time in what felt like forever, he was genuinely happy. This was the connection he craved, not the boardrooms or corner offices. As the day wound down, Mia turned to him, her eyes sparkling. "See? This isn't just about helping people, is it? It's about being part of something bigger." Jack nodded, a lump in his throat. "You're right. This feeds the soul." But just as their connection seemed stronger, his phone buzzed, shaking him from the moment. A message from his office. It contained an ultimatum from the rival CEO threatening action if Jack dared to divert attention from their corporate obligations. Sinking dread washed over him. The stakes had never felt more real. Would he be able to balance his new mission with the demands of his old life? As he glanced at Mia's bright face, a mix of affection and urgency gripped him. Could he protect this newfound joy while facing the storm ahead? The world around him felt like it was closing in, yet the bright colors of the canvases reminded him of what truly mattered. Determined, he looked back at Mia, ready to share everything, the threats, the showdown brewing. But as he opened his mouth to speak, he hesitated. Should he burden her with his troubles, or find the strength to shield their shared dream? Jack took a deep breath. It was now or never. How could he let her see the doubt swirling in his mind? With everything on the line, the answer to a life-altering question hovered just out of reach. Would he risk everything to fight for a future with Mia, or would he retreat back to the safety of his corporate cage? Jack's heart raced as he fought against the conflict brewing inside him. He wanted to confide in Mia, to show her the storm churning within him, but fear of shattering this beautiful moment held him back. He watched her help the children, their faces lit up with joy. That pure happiness made him want to shield it, to protect this innocent world from the looming darkness of deadlines and expectations. "Hey, you alright?" Mia interrupted his thoughts, her brow slightly furrowed with concern. Her bright eyes bored into his, and he felt the weight of her attention. "Yeah, just thinking about the art," he said, forcing a smile that felt weak. "It really is something beautiful." He gestured to the chaos around them, kids laughing, paint flying, the room a riot of color trying to convince both her and himself. Mia watched him closely, then said softly, "You know, it's okay to be vulnerable." Her words struck a chord. How hard it was for him to admit that he wasn't just Jack the successful businessman, but Jack the man wrestling with doubt, unsure of where he belonged. The old world beckoned him with its familiar siren song of stability, but Mia and this community made his heart swell in a way he hadn't thought possible. What a terrifying place to be caught between two realities. "Do you ever feel," he began, struggling for words, "like you're on the edge of something huge, but you don't know if you can take the leap?" "Every day," she admitted, nodding slightly. "But then I remind myself that the risk often leads to growth. We need to ask ourselves what we truly value." Jack blinked, absorbing her wisdom. What did he value? The thought sent pulses of anxiety down his spine. Would staying in his corporate job mean abandoning the chance to affect real change with Mia and her initiatives? "I get that," he finally said, but the heaviness in his heart didn't lift. It only grew more complicated as he faced the ringing of his phone yet again. Another text. This time, it refused to fade into the background. It was a notification from his boss, reminding him about the upcoming deadline for the project that had sparked the ultimatum. Before he could dismiss it, a child beside him tugged on his sleeve, pulling him back from thoughts of boardrooms. "Mr. Jack. Let us paint a rainbow." She squealed, her fingers smudged with a riot of colors. "All right. Let us do it." Jack replied with a sudden surge of joy, shaking off the weight of his responsibilities for just a moment. He dipped the brush into the bright paint, and as he moved beside Mia, creating swathes of vibrant colors, he felt more alive than he had in years. "Look. It's beautiful." The little girl cheered, her eyes wide with wonder. In that moment, the worries faded, and Jack felt a thread of hope weave through the chaos, but as he watched the kids cheer and paint, his mind flickered back to the looming threat at the office. Could he really make this his life? "Jack." Mia called gently, pulling him from his reverie. "Are we okay?" Her voice brought a wave of clarity crashing over him. This was it. He had to make a choice. Would he risk losing the joy he discovered here by carrying the burden of his old life, or would he step forward and embrace uncertainty for something that felt more real? The answer lingered like an unpainted canvas, waiting for him to fill it with color. "Yeah," he finally said, though uncertainty still lurked within him. "We're more than okay." As sunset cast a warm glow over everything, he could feel a new chapter beginning, but the shadows of the past loomed close, and he realized the biggest battle lay ahead. Could he find the courage to embrace this new path, or would he succumb to the fears keeping him shackled? As they finished the rainbow, the laughter still ringing in his ears, he wondered if tomorrow would bring the clarity he sought or if fate would force his hand before he was ready to choose. The morning sun spilled through Jack's window, warming the small room he called his temporary home. Uncertainty clung to him like the sheets he tossed aside. He sat up, running a hand through his hair, thoughts whirring in his mind, the project looming over him, the colorful chaos of the community center, and Mia's gentle words echoing like sweet music. He got up, shuffled past his laptop, the glowing screen a siren call he could hardly ignore. A slew of emails awaited him, each a reminder of responsibilities he was beginning to resent. "Pull it together," he muttered, shaking his head as if it would clear the fog rolling through his thoughts. He made himself a cup of coffee, but it was the taste of sweetness and cream that turned bitter in his mouth when he thought about what lay ahead. Back to the boardroom? Back to a life that felt like a cage? Or search for the courage to paint a different future? Just then, a text pinged on his phone. It was Mia. "Good morning. Ready for today?" Those words stirred something deep inside him. Was he ready? His thumb hovered over the screen. Should he tell her what was weighing him down? Instead, he replied with a simple, absolutely. Looking forward to it. As he stepped outside, the world felt different. Kids were rushing down the street, their laughter brightening the morning. A little girl in a mismatched outfit paused to wave at him, her tiny hands sticky with remnants of paint. For a moment, he felt lighter. The community center buzzed with activity as families filed in, each person bringing a unique energy that mingled with the smell of fresh coffee and art supplies. He was swept up in a whirlwind of happiness. Mia, bright and animated, greeted him with a smile that warmed him from the inside out. "Jack. I've got a surprise for you," she said, her eyes twinkling. "What is it?" he asked, curiosity piqued. "You'll see." She darted off, and he followed, intrigued by her enthusiasm. They stopped at a large canvas propped against the wall. A group of children had painted a massive mural, swirls of color depicting trees, flowers, and a brilliant sun. "Wow! This is amazing!" Jack exclaimed, genuinely impressed. "Isn't it?" Mia beamed, her joy infectious. "I thought it might inspire you to do something with your own ideas." Jack felt something shift within him. With every brushstroke, the kids had thrown fear to the wind, painting their dreams without hesitance. In that moment he realized it wasn't just paint on canvas, it was hope, it was an invitation to step beyond his confines. "Can you help me add something?" Mia's voice broke through his thoughts. "Of course. What do you want to add?" She pulled out a bright yellow paint tube, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "I think it needs a sun that shows our dreams reaching out." He felt a smile grow on his face, and without thinking, he squeezed out paint onto the palette. Together, they started on a giant sun, swirling the yellow in a way that mirrored the warmth he was beginning to feel within himself. As they painted, their laughter rang through the center. Each stroke felt cathartic, washing away some of the heaviness he had carried. Mia shared stories of the kids, and he shared fragments of his life. Boundaries blurred in the laughter and paint. But as the mural took shape, another text buzzed again from his phone, shattering the moment. A notification from work. His heart sank. Responsibilities tugged at him fiercely. Mia, noticing his shift, asked, "Everything okay?" "Just work stuff," he replied, his smile fading. "Don't forget, you can choose," she reminded him softly, her gaze piercing through the facade he had for so long maintained. As they paused to admire their handiwork, Jack realized how tightly he held on to the conventional path before him. After today, could he still embrace the light of change, or would he slip back into the familiar shadows? "I need to think, Mia," he said, his heart racing again, the weight of uncertainty pressing down. "Just remember, sometimes the biggest changes start with the smallest decisions," she replied, hope shimmering in her eyes. Standing in front of the mural, vibrant and full of promise, he wondered if he could really paint his future. Would it be brighter than yesterday, or would he remain in the shadows? As they stepped back to witness their creation, Jack felt a flicker of hope. Was that enough to light the way? Tomorrow loomed closer, and a decision had to be made. As joy mingled with fear, one thought echoed in his mind: what would happen when he finally picked up the brush? As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow over the community center, Jack's heart raced with conflicting feelings. The mural stood before him, an explosion of colors and dreams, but his focus flickered back to the cold glare of his laptop screen that waited starkly in the quiet of his apartment. The looming work responsibilities pulled at him like heavy chains. Mia nudged him playfully, snapping him back to the moment. "You know, it's not just about how you started," she said, tilting her head slightly. "It's about how you decide to finish. Are you ready to be bold?" Bold. The word hung in the air, reverberating through him. He had spent years tiptoeing around what others expected, living someone else's definition of success. The idea of bolder choices felt radical yet irresistibly freeing. Mia's infectious spirit surrounded him like a warm blanket, and he felt regret for moments spent in a suit and tie, suffocated by expectations. What if I don't have it in me? His voice broke the fragile hope that shimmered like sunlight on water. Then you try anyway, she replied, her sincerity wrapping around his heart like an embrace. Do it afraid. Do it messy. That's the point of it all. But doubt still crawled into his mind. What if he failed? What if carving out a new path meant leaving behind the stability he had clung to? He glanced at the mural again, beauty emerging from chaos, a symbol of the community's dream spilling over a blank canvas. The children had dared to dream, to create with abandon. Could he find that courage too? Just then, the door swung open with a light thud, interrupting his thoughts. A wave of chatter and laughter ushered in a new group of children, eager to soak in the vibrant atmosphere. Their energy was tangible, their innocence a stark contrast to the weight of Jack's thoughts. Mr. Jack! A small boy yelled, running up to him, paint-specked hands flailing excitedly. Look what we made! He held up a small clay model of a tree, a little crooked but bursting with color. Wow, that's fantastic! Jack exclaimed, a genuine smile breaking through his momentary fog. He bent down to admire the boy's creation. This was what it meant to be alive, to create without the weight of scrutiny or fear. Mia joined him, her every move animated with joy. See? This is what it's all about. Creating, connecting, dreaming. Jack's spirit lifted slightly. Maybe he could step outside his comfort zone. Perhaps the boardroom and its confines weren't all there was in life. As he helped the boy with his clay model, he found himself laughing, truly laughing, caught up in the joy of the moment. Yet, as they immersed themselves in creativity, his phone buzzed again, one more pressing email from his boss, one more reminder that the world outside the center still held its grip on him. Mr. Jack, can you help me paint the sun? Another child chimed in, drawing his gaze. Jack nodded, glancing back at the mural. Absolutely. He replied, the spark of excitement igniting within him once again. As he picked up the brush, intent on working alongside the kids, a deeper realization began to settle. This was where he belonged, with laughter and color, not just in the shadows of an office cubicle, but as they added layers to the sun, a flicker of doubt returned. What would he do when tomorrow came? How could he trust himself to choose differently when faced with the confines of reality? With every stroke, Jack felt a surge of energy, the fears slowly receding. Yet they lingered at the edges, reminding him that while this moment felt right, the questions of his future loomed large. Do you think you could be anything you wanted? Mia asked suddenly, her gaze piercing. Do you think you could make a change after today? Jack froze momentarily, his heart pounding as he faced the truth of his own hesitation. The mural, alive with color, begged him to commit to something greater. As they stepped back to assess their progress, a question hung heavy in the air: would he dare to embrace the colors of his own life and risk all he had ever known? His breath caught as he wrestled with his decision. Tomorrow promised opportunities, but it also threatened uncertainty, an intense labyrinth of choices awaiting the bravest heart. And as the children danced around them in joyous abandon, Jack's heart echoed the musings of his own tomorrow. Would he follow them into a new dawn, or let the vibrant colors fade into the background? Jack's brush glided across the canvas, its vibrant yellow mixing with orange, creating a radiant sun that seemed to pulse with life. Around him, the children giggled, splattering paint in every direction, each stroke sparking joy and laughter. He joined in their revelry, temporarily forgetting the burdens of adulthood and the looming responsibilities that awaited him. Look, Mr. Jack. It's a sunrise! Shouted the girl with pigtails, holding up her paintbrush triumphantly, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Exactly. He smiled back, his heart swelling. This place lived and breathed creativity, a sanctuary away from spreadsheets and deadlines. Yet, even in this refuge, doubt crept back like a shadow at dusk. What if he walked away tomorrow and continued to deny himself a life filled with vibrant possibility? Another child, a girl with bright blue paint on her face, tugged at his shirt. Can we make a rainbow next? Yes, let us do it. Jack replied, his spirit igniting again. Rainbows mean hope, right? It means friendship too. She exclaimed, wide-eyed and innocent. As they began their next project, Mia stood back, watching Jack with a smile. She sensed this moment was a turning point, perhaps even a revelation he was wrestling to articulate. She approached him, her tone gentle yet insistent. You know, you could really inspire these kids if you let go of your own fears. He paused, dipping his brush in blue, hesitating with a mix of excitement and terror. What if they look up to me and I disappoint them? What if I can't be the person they believe I am? Jack, Mia's eyes locked onto his, steady and reassuring. Life is about trying. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up, embracing every moment, including the messy ones. Her words struck a chord, resonating deep within him like a drumbeat of truth. Would he ever allow himself to embrace the childhood spirit of discovery he had lost? His heart raced with the prospect of change. What did it mean to be really alive? Suddenly, the children broke into a spontaneous dance, swirling around with brushes in hand, their laughter echoing joyously within the hall. In that moment of chaos, Jack felt an energy he hadn't experienced in years, a feeling that whispered, "This is who you are meant to be." "Hey!" Mia's voice, bright and playful, broke through his thoughts. "Thinking about the future again?" Jack chuckled, a mixture of fear and exhilaration. "Maybe I should just stay here forever. Forget the world outside." "Maybe you could make this your world," she said, stepping closer, "or at least a big part of it." For a moment, he entertained the fantasy of leaving his old life behind, where meetings felt like shackles, and everyday tasks drained him. He could start anew here, surrounded by laughter and art. But then reality crashed in again. A tugging reminder of bills and obligations started to creep back in. "Mr. Jack, can we call you our art teacher?" Another child shouted, eyes sparkling with admiration. His heart skipped. The weight of that title felt heavy, yet strangely empowering. "Of course," he declared, his bravado surprising even himself. But as the cheers erupted around him, a flicker of realization pierced through the joy. Could he really embrace this new identity and leave behind the safety that the corporate world offered? A child's laughter yanked him back, reminding him that he was here, now, in the midst of color and creation. It felt intoxicatingly alive as they wore their paint like badges of honor. Jack turned to Mia, uncertainty clouding his expression. "What if I really tried to change? What if I stepped into the unknown?" Mia smiled, her eyes glistening with enthusiasm. "Then tomorrow will be a new adventure, with more color than you ever imagined." As the laughter swept through him, he realized that tomorrow held a promise, a possibility waiting beyond the gray walls of his office. But a knot tightened in his chest as he faced the looming choice: could he truly give this opportunity a chance? That night, as the sun disappeared and night crept in, Jack felt a flicker of hope, a desire burning within him. He might just be able to carve his own path. But what exactly would that look like? And as he cleaned the last of the paint from his hands, Jack grappled with a simple, profound question: would he have the courage to paint the life he truly wanted, or find himself stuck in the black and white confines of his old world? The next morning dawned bright and clear, the sun casting a warm glow over the art studio. Jack stirred awake, the lingering echoes of laughter from the day before still dancing in his mind. He rolled out of bed, anticipation tinged with anxiety swirling in his stomach. The studio waited for him, a blank canvas itself, filled with possibility. He poured a cup of coffee, the rich aroma grounding him, and thought about what Mia had said. Could today really be the day he took that leap? As he arrived, he took a moment outside the studio, breathing in the fresh air. The familiar scent of paint and creativity washed over him as he pushed the door open. The children were already gathered around their easels, chattering excitedly. The atmosphere was thick with possibility and joy. "Mr. Jack, look!" a boy shouted, proudly holding up a painting of a dragon, bold strokes of green and gold flying across the canvas. Jack couldn't help but grin at the sight. "That's amazing. What is his name?" Jack asked, bending down to meet the child's eyes. "Spike." The boy beamed. Jack's heart swelled as he straightened up. "Alright, let us add Spike to our rainbow today. Who else with me?" A chorus of cheers rang in the air. Jack felt a sense of belonging swallow his fears whole. As the kids painted and laughed, Jack began to sketch out his own ideas. Splashing colors, he felt that spark of old childhood dreams surfacing. Each brushstroke was a release, liberating and terrifying all at once. But he pushed through, no longer just a spectator but an active creator. In the corner of his eye, he caught Mia watching him. There was something in her gaze, no longer just an observer, but someone believing in him. He squeezed out a fresh tube of paint and mixed it onto his palette, feeling bolder with each passing second. "Today we're going to create our favorite dream," he announced. "A place where we can leave our worries behind and just be us." The children nodded, eyes wide with excitement, and began to spill their imaginations onto the canvases. They painted towns, enchanted forests, and even outer space adventures, all infused with vibrant colors. Jack, too, lost himself in the moment, his brush dancing across the canvas. But just as he felt fully immersed in this magical world, the door swung open with a loud thud and a figure stumbled inside, breathless. A woman, dirty and disheveled, stood before them. Her eyes darted around the room, taking in the children, the colors, everything bursting with life. Jack froze. Anxiety gripped him momentarily. Would this stranger break the joyful atmosphere? "Excuse me, I heard laughter," she managed, her words hiccuping in the air like a fragile butterfly. A hush fell over the room. The children exchanged confused glances. Jack felt his heart race. This wasn't what he expected. This was unfamiliar territory. But instead of shying away, something deep within him stirred, encouraging him to respond. "You can join us. We're painting our dreams today," he said, his voice steady, inviting. "Dreams?" Her voice wobbled. "You mean you're not just here to win? To take over?" Jack stepped closer. "No. Not at all. We're here to create and to share what makes us happy." He caught Mia's eye again, a mixture of concern and admiration on her face. She approached the woman gently. "Everyone deserves a space to express themselves. Come, we'd love to have you." The interior buzz shifted as the woman stepped into their colorful world. Jack saw a flicker of hope in her eyes, a vulnerability that resonated. Maybe dreams could stretch wider than he had ever imagined. As the woman grabbed a brush and began to paint, colors swirled around her, and Jack realized he was facing a greater challenge than he had anticipated. It wasn't just about claiming his own path, it was about opening that path to others as well. Would he be able to fully embrace this journey of creativity, community, and healing? And as an unexpected bond began to form before his eyes, Jack's heart raced with anticipation for what was unfolding. A moment sparked within him, could this be the stepping stone toward a new definition of success, a success built on kindness and connection? Uncertainty wrapped around him, but the vibrant colors around them echoed a whisper, perhaps this was just the beginning of something extraordinary. In that instant, he knew the question he would face next would redefine him. How far was he willing to go to make a difference in the world around him? Jack watched as the woman picked up a brush with trembling hands. She stared at the blank canvas, her eyes searching for a spark of inspiration. He could see the hesitation written on her face, a scene he had witnessed countless times before in the children. He stepped closer, lowering his voice to a soothing whisper, "Just let the colors come out. Whatever you feel, put it in there." She nodded slowly, but her brows remained furrowed. The children continued to paint, blissfully unaware of the tension in the air. Rich blues splashed beside vibrant pinks, creating a cacophony of colors that felt magical. Jack inhaled deeply, feeling a rush of warmth enveloping him as he grabbed his own brush, ready to dive back into his dream world. "Alright, everyone. Let's share our dreams," he called out, trying to draw attention away from the newcomer's struggle. The kids began to describe what their paintings meant: adventures, places far away, and even worlds inside of their heads. Their voices, innocent and pure, filled the air with joy and laughter, the sound intoxicating, but the woman, still hesitant, remained somewhat isolated. Jack felt a tug in his heart. It wasn't fair for her to be on the sidelines, especially not in a space meant for sharing and creativity. Mia had been busy decorating her own canvas, but she glanced up and caught Jack's gaze. A silent understanding passed between them. She approached the woman, kneeling next to her, and whispered something. The woman's posture relaxed just a little. Jack watched closely, his heart pounding. This was a moment he needed to nurture, a step towards connection they all craved. "Come paint with us," Mia said gently. "Whatever it is, you can do it here. You're safe." The woman's eyes glimmered with uncertainty, a battle of hesitation and hope playing out on her features. Then, something changed. She picked up a brush, dipped it into a deep red, and let out a sigh as if a weight had been lifted. Jack felt a rush of triumph at that small movement. "Now, every masterpiece needs a story," Jack encouraged. "Can you tell us yours while you paint?" The woman paused, taking a deep breath. She looked at the children's joyful faces, then back at the canvas. I used to have a home. A family, everything balanced like one of those paintings," she started, her voice shaky but determined. As she painted, streaks of red began to emerge against the white background. "But when I lost them, I lost everything. I was afraid to dream again." Jack felt his throat tighten as he listened. It was the vulnerability in her voice, the pain barely masked beneath her words, that struck him. "That's okay," he said softly. "You're not alone anymore. We're here to support you." Slowly, more colors joined the red, swirling together in chaotic but beautiful harmony. Jack recognized that they weren't merely painting their dreams, they were weaving their stories into something more profound. As the hours passed, he kept his eye on her. The tension gradually faded, and with every stroke, the woman seemed to shed some of her burden. Other children gathered around her easel, pointing and asking questions, showering her with encouragement. Soon, laughter bubbled up again, mixing with the splashes of paint. The atmosphere lightened, the heavy silence giving way to joy. Jack joined the children, helping them mix colors and bring life to their creations. But his thoughts frequently returned to the woman. Each time he glanced her way, she was more engaged, a smile creeping onto her face as she painted a scene that began to reveal a sunrise. As the session neared its end, Jack felt a swell of hope. This could be more than just a one-day affair. What if each of them kept coming back, weaving more stories, deeper connections, and bringing more colors together? Just then, the woman paused, stepping back to admire her canvas. "I didn't think I could still create something beautiful," she whispered, tears pooling in her eyes. Jack's heart soared. "What is stopping you now?" he asked, stepping beside her. I thought I had lost the ability to dream," she confessed softly. "Look around. You're in a place where dreams find their way back," Jack replied, beaming. "Every color you put down here is a step toward reclaiming your dreams." The woman smiled through her tears, murmuring a simple, "Thank you." As the children clapped and cheered, Jack felt an overwhelming sense of purpose. But beneath those hopeful feelings, a whisper of doubt nagged at him. He had opened a door today, but how would he keep it ajar? Would this bond they had formed last beyond this one day, or would it fade into memory like a distant dream? With that lingering question heavy on his heart, he knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges. What did it truly take to help someone rediscover their dreams? As the last brushes were set down and laughter began to dissipate into the evening air, Jack realized that the real journey was just beginning. How far would they all go to keep those dreams alive? The sun rose anew with a promise as vibrant as the colors left over from yesterday's painting session. Jack stirred awake, the warmth of hope wrapping around him like an old, cherished blanket. He had spent the night reflecting on what Mia, the children, and their new friend had inspired in him. The fear of the corporate world had faded, replaced by the lighter feeling of possibility. He stepped outside, inhaling the crisp morning breeze. The excitement was palpable. Today would be the day he'd take a real leap into the unknown. He had no idea what lay ahead, but wasn't he that the beauty of it? Arriving at the community center, he spotted Mia already bustling about, her energy contagious. "Look who's here!" she exclaimed, brightening the room with her presence. "You're just in time. We've got plans today." "What kind of plans?" Jack asked, curiosity dancing in his eyes. "You'll see. It's about time we expand our little project and get more kids from the neighborhood involved. You ready to inspire?" She replied with a grin. Jack felt a fire ignite within him. This was more than just painting, this was community. This was transformation. As they gathered the children, Jack could see their excitement. They chatted eagerly, each child eager to contribute. Together, they conceptualized a bigger mural in the park, something that would invite the community to be part of the story, a tapestry of dreams painted by every hand that wished to leave a mark. A chance to show their world in color, vibrancy, and, most importantly, inclusivity. As they began the project, Jack felt a sense of belonging solidify. The paint melted together under their brushes, laughter intertwined with the colors. Everyone had a story to tell. The little ones shared their dreams of being astronauts, artists, and even superheroes, each brushstroke punctuating their desires. Jack found himself encouraging them, igniting that spark of belief. But amid the joy, the nagging doubts began to seep back in. The corporate world loomed large in his thoughts, an specter haunting him from behind glass and steel. He was starting something big here, but could he truly reconcile it with the life he once had? As if sensing his distraction, Mia glanced at him and said softly, "You know, it's okay to feel scared about change. It means you're about to do something important." Those words wrapped around his heart, squeezing tight enough to coax out the truth he'd been avoiding. If he wanted to help others find their dreams, he needed to face his own. With renewed resolve, Jack decided to confront the rival CEO threatening his mission. He picked up his phone, but this time, he wasn't dialing for a meeting. He was ready. Ready to reclaim his life and merge it into something worth fighting for, a future he wasn't afraid to embrace. As night fell, laughter rang out in the community center. They stood together, all a part of something bigger, something that felt right. The mural glowed under the fading sunlight. Mia turned to Jack, her eyes dancing with joy. "Look what we're creating. Look how beautiful this is." "It's more than beautiful," Jack said, voice thick with emotion. "It's hope. It's belonging. It's a start." Mia's smile was radiant, reflecting the warmth in the room. "You did this, Jack. You dared to jump in. You showed them how to dream." He felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. This was his transformation. A moment he could never have imagined months ago, back in that lonely penthouse overlooking a city that now felt so very much alive. And tomorrow would bring more challenges, yes, but now Jack was ready to embrace them. No more fear. No more losing himself in expectations. He'd found a family here, amidst vibrant colors and laughter, and he was determined to keep it alive. In that moment, amidst the swirling colors and joyful chatter, Jack realized he'd finally stepped into the life he'd longed for, a life overflowed with purpose, connection, and love. As they painted together, one truth rang clear: they were all capable of dreaming, building, and changing the world, one brushstroke at a time. And together, they would color their futures beautiful. Tomorrow was just the beginning. Now, if you felt this story resonating deep within your heart, you need to subscribe to our channel immediately to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Your reactions and feelings matter, so comment below your thoughts about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to make a difference in their lives too.